Win a Pageant, episode 69. I created this step-by-step process after training thousands of women across the U.S. to win. Now you can have access to these winning strategies when you join me every Wednesday. Let's win a pageant. Hey girl, welcome to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alicia Darby. One common misconception of winning a pageant is the idea that when you win, you'll be swept away into some fairy tale land where you get a business manager, a PR specialist, and a full glam team. The reason many people believe this is because it is what happens in some pageants, like the Miss America or Miss USA pageant. But for most pageant winners, this is not the case. In fact, when you win your pageant, you are actually expected to be the one to book your own appearances. Sometimes you're even contractually obligated to do 2 or more per month. So this is a necessary skill long before you even win the title. Booking appearances, especially if you don't have a PR background or you have never managed business before, this can be very overwhelming. But in this episode, I'm going to share with you the 7 steps to book appearances like a true pageant professional, with or without a crown. Now, of course, before you even begin to book appearances, you have to know your brand, and you've got to have a solid understanding of your platform and your legacy project so that you know where your skills would be best aligned. So if you haven't gotten this far in your training with the Win a Pageant podcast yet, then I would invite you to revisit episode number 23 for your legacy project and number 66 for platform training. For the purpose of today's training, I'm going to dive straight into booking your appearances as if you've already got your platform and legacy project well underway. The first step of the process is to research related partners like organizations, groups, or businesses that align with the same mission that you support. I suggest starting with the yellow pages and a good old Google search, and you might even find local chapters of national organizations like the Rotary Club, the Girl Scouts, even local schools or libraries in your area that could both support and benefit from your platform and legacy project. Make a list of all the possible partners that you find, put them in like a Google or an Excel spreadsheet, because I want you to keep a bunch of information so that you have it all in one place. We're going to include the name of the organization, the name of the person that you want to contact, their actual contact information, whether it's a phone number or email or address, and any notes that you take when you actually do reach out to them. This is going to help you just keep everything organized and keep track of the progress that you're making. Okay, now that you've got your list of who you're going to contact, you've got to create a valuable offer, and that is step number 2. When you actually do reach out to these contacts, you're going to want to offer something of really great value from their perspective. So you've got to consider what's important to them. Is there a certain initiative that they are promoting in this moment? Or maybe there is some common market that they are trying to reach and you've got direct access. For example, when I was working closely with the American Heart Association, I was in contact with several public schools because not only was I a certified teacher with an approved background check, but also my mom and dad both worked in the public school system. So we had contacts in lots of different districts within driving distance from my home. And that was, of course, valuable to the American Heart Association. And therefore, it allowed me to do a lot of work with them and many appearances in elementary schools and across college campuses. So think about what you bring to the table. Sometimes nonprofit organizations are seeking volunteers that are able to host tables at health fairs or be present to even just give out sandwiches at a fundraising walk. You've probably seen that before. Or give talks to a specific region on a topic of interest. So maybe you even have like just a flexible schedule or experience in a certain sport. Whatever are your strengths, that's what you want to lead with. When you contact an organization, share your strengths in a way that they can benefit from. So instead of saying something like, "Hi there, my name is Alicia, I'm Miss So-and-so, and I really am looking to get into the schools to talk to the children," because that's what everybody says. And by the way, that's also what they are doing. Instead, lead with your strengths, something like this. "Hi, my name is Alicia and I'm interested in volunteering for your organization. I'm a public speaker, a certified teacher, and I love to work with children. Who would be the best person for me to talk with about volunteer positions with your organization?" Now, already I've got their ears perked up because I'm speaking their language. I just want to be a volunteer. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm really trying to identify the right person to speak with, and I've given a brief list of some of the things that I can provide as value. Anytime that you need somebody to be on your side, you've got to approach the conversation from their side of the table. The next thing that you want to do is leave your contact information with the right person, but you also want to make sure you've got their contact information. Now, you want to look at this in two ways. Many organizations do have an ongoing list of possible volunteers that they reach out to regularly for various activities, just whenever they're needed. You've got to be on that list. And you also want to be aware of your responsibility to follow up. Sometimes they don't need you right away, or there's so many people asking to be a part of their work that they just don't have time for you. And that happens too. So if you want to give a speech to the Rotary Club at one of their meetings, but they're booked for the next 6 months, then you've got to be aware of who is booking those speakers, how far do they book in advance, get their specific contact information, and then follow up. Once you're invited to do an appearance, you've got to respond immediately. And that is step number 4. My recommendation is to respond to somebody's outreach or an invitation within 24 hours. So if when you first reach out to them over the phone, they give you some dates and some times and want you to look at some stuff, that's great. Get back to them within 24 hours. If it takes you follow-up after follow-up over the course of many weeks or even months until finally they reach back out to you out of the clear blue sky, still respond within 24 hours. I used to be on a call list to speak to groups in Los Angeles on behalf of the American Heart Association. Now, in Los Angeles, as you can imagine, there is no shortage of speakers. So when I got an email request, I had to jump on it within a matter of hours to really secure a position that I wanted badly. Regardless of what you're being invited to do, whether it's to ride in a parade, attend a fundraiser, write a guest blog, or be on the 5 a.m. news, whatever it is, respond immediately because that level of professionalism will go a long way. During that response, you've got to gather some information. You've got to understand what are their needs and get all of the specific details that you need. Where should you go? What should you wear? How long should you expect to be there? Get all of the vital details in that moment. Once you know exactly what to expect, you're prepared for the event, you should confirm the details at least 3 days before the event or up to a full week, depending on the size of the event. Of course, if it's a mega event, giving at least a week's confirmation could be really, really valuable. It saves them the time of having to repeat themselves or having to reach out to you to confirm. So just send a brief email with the basics of the details that you've already previously gathered. For example, let's say that you are going to be selling roses at a black tie affair. When you follow up with your details, you might say something along the lines of, I will be arriving at such and such location wearing a formal gown at 4:30 p.m. with a white basket to put the roses in. I have found that it is way better to include this level of detail in case they forgot to tell you something like the event changed or it's a different location or you don't need to bring the baskets after all, or could you also bring this other thing, Even if your details are as simple as arriving at 147 Oak Avenue at 11 a.m. with a Corvette, magnetic signs, and a printed formal introduction for your MC of the parade, still confirm the details as you understand it so they can make any changes if necessary. Step number 6 is to show up and be spectacular. My client, Brianne, who recently won her state pageant, she came to my house for her VIP day, and we developed this concept of being paid $20,000 to walk across stage for 3 minutes every single time. She created that vision for every phase of competition, showing up with her best self, putting aside negative self-talk, absolutely owning the stage, dealing with any little bumps and things that come along the way for 3 whole minutes. And she obviously nailed it and won her pageant. And the same strategy will work for your appearances. Here's how it works. You want to imagine yourself being paid $20,000 or whatever dollar amount works best for you to just show up for whatever appearance you're doing. And if you believe that you're going to be paid that, I bet you will be absolutely spectacular. You want to deliver your very best and bring a ton of value. So get plenty of rest, put yourself together so you look absolutely fantastic, show up early, bring an extra dress or your talent CD or a spare microphone just in case, and be ready to save the show or step into whatever role they give you and be worth $20,000. Everyone that you interact with will be asking like, wow, how did they even get her? I wonder how much she would cost to have at my event. I promise your excellence will pay off. The final step in booking your appearance comes after the actual appearance. Within 48 hours or 2 days after your event, you want to follow up with a thank you note. Now, I'm sure that you know by now that gratitude is very high on my values list. I love sharing my appreciation with the people around me, and I've found that the more appreciation that I share, the more generosity others give. When you follow up with a handwritten note, you will find that opportunities are continually brought to you. So send a thank you note to your Corvette driver, one to the newscaster who interviewed you on camera, definitely one to the contact that helped you set everything up. Even the volunteer coordinator on the day of the event would appreciate your gratitude. Here's a little pro tip. I sometimes even send photographs of myself with the person that I'm writing the note to, the volunteer coordinator or other key players, so that they, of course, remember who I am, especially if we only had a short interaction, and of course, as a keepsake from the event. This is how you can ensure that your reputation for your work is absolutely glowing, that you are remembered, and it's a great way to grow your network. The longer your list of contacts, the more opportunities you'll be able to create for yourself even before your pageant. And that, my dear, is how you win a pageant. For more resources on how to win, visit winapageant.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next Win a Pageant Wednesday.